CIF, cost, insurance and freight, means that the seller delivers the goods on board the vessel or procures the goods already so delivered. The risk of loss of damage to the goods passes when the goods are on board the vessel. The seller must contract for and pay the costs and freight necessary to bring the goods to the named port of destination. The seller also contracts for insurance cover against the buyer's risk of loss of or damage to the goods during the carriage. Compared with CFR, under CIF, the seller's obligation increases further to compromise the contract of carriage and the premium. The seller's obligations under CIF. Under CIF, the seller must, firstly, deliver the goods on the agreed date or within the agreed period, either by placing them on board the vessel nominated by the buyer at the named port of shipment or by procuring the goods so delivered. Secondly, bear all risks of loss or damage to the goods, as well as all costs relating to the goods before the delivery of goods. Thirdly, contract for the carriage of the goods and pay the freight. Fourthly, contract for the insurance of the goods and pay the premium. Fifthly, clear the goods for export at his own risk and expense. Sixthly, provide the buyer at the seller's expense with a euro proof of delivery. The buyer's obligations under CIF. Under CIF, the buyer must, number 1, take delivery of the goods when they are shipped on board the vessel at the port of shipment. Secondly, bear all risks of loss or damage to the goods, as well as all costs relating to the goods after the delivery of goods. Thirdly, clear the goods for import at his own risk and expense. Here are some points for special attention under CIF. Number 1, just like FOB and CFR, CIF is only applicable to ocean or inland waterway transport. In the situation when the goods are handed over to the carrier before they are on board the vessel, the CIP rule should be applied. Secondly, although the seller is responsible for signing both the contract of carriage and the contract of insurance, and also paying the cost of carriage and the cost of insurance, it does not bear the risks arising from the carriage of the goods. Thirdly, under CIF, it is also necessary to specify in the contract both the port of destination and the port of shipment. Number 4, the seller may accept or decline any special requirement made by the buyer concerning the carrying vessel, which is to be arranged by the seller itself. Fifthly, under CIF, the seller has the obligation to buy insurance of the cargo. However, the seller only has to obtain cargo insurance with a minimum cover for 119% invoice value. If the buyer asks for more insurance coverage, the seller may accept such a request at the buyer's expense or decline it. Number 6, concerning the unloading charges, there are also CIF variations as follows. CIF liner terms. The unloading expenses are included in liner freight, which is paid by the seller. CIF landed. The seller bears the charges, including unloading charges and lighterage, to bring the cargo to the dock at the port of destination. CIF EX tackle. The seller bears the charges to bring the cargo to the quayside, which is within the reach of the tackle of the bank crane. CIF EX ship's hold. The buyer bears the charges to bring the cargo from the ship's hold onto the dock. Number 7. CIF is typically a symbolic delivery term. Symbolic delivery means that the seller fulfills its obligation of delivery when he completes the shipment of goods at the appointed place within agreed time and submits relevant documents provided in the contract. Under the symbolic delivery term, the seller does not guarantee the arrival of the goods at the destination. Now let's compare FOB, CFR, and CIF. Well, we have a detailed study of FOB, CIF, and CFR. Now, can you compare the three trade terms? What similarities and differences do they have? Similarities of the three terms. Number 1, they are all applicable to ocean transport or inland waterway transport. Number 2, the goods are all delivered on board at the port of shipment. Number 3, the export formalities are all handled by the seller and the import formalities by the buyer. Number 4, they are all symbolic delivery terms. Then, differences of the three terms. Number 1, under an FOB, the contract of carriage is arranged and the freight is paid by the buyer, while under CFR and CIF, such obligations are to be carried out by the seller. Number 2, under CIF, the seller has the obligation to insure the goods, while under FOB and CFR, the buyer has to arrange insurance of the goods by himself. But such a task is the buyer's own business rather than an obligation. Number 3, FOB is to be followed by the port of shipment, while CFR and CIF are to be followed by the port of destination. Number 4, FOB price excludes freight and premium. CFR includes freight, and CIF includes both freight and premium. Therefore, for the quotation of the same item, FOB price is the lowest, while CIF price is the highest.